There was once a time when any movie with comic book characters was considered niche, and only for geeks and nerds. Or you pretended to hate them, but secretly you enjoyed them. Comic book superhero movies have now become the gold standard when it comes to cinema entertainment. Heroes from comic pages and TV shows being brought to life on the big screen, and it is an event. Now, arguably, the recent disappointments of Black Adam, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and the Marvels have somehow put paid to that theory with some very poor and dismal outings. A number of factors can be attributed to its current downward trend, including poorly written stories, identity politics, hero fatigue, and what have you. But it cannot be argued that since the release of Blade with Wesley Snipes back in 1998, and even further back with the first Superman in 1978, comic book superheroes for well over 3 to 4 decades have taken over the big screen in a very big way, and are firmly etched in pop culture. Today I go through my personal favourite movie adaptations of comic book heroes. I was going to do a top 10 list originally, but I thought I'd extend it to 12 as there were a couple that I didn't want to leave out. So here we go with my top 12 comic book superhero movies. Number 12, Superman 2. There was no one who captured the heart and soul of the Man of Steel better than the late great Christopher Reeves. This was his second outing after his debut in 1978. He makes the decision to give up his powers to have a relationship with Lois, whilst 3 Kryptonian criminals led by General Zod are accidentally freed from their prison and they set about conquering Earth. They are aided by Lex Luthor and are looking to take out Superman. In the meanwhile, he is conflicted after a bar fight on whether or not to take and regain his powers. By regaining his powers, it could mean no chance at a love life with Lois, but on the other hand, he is needed to take on General Zod. This and the first Superman films is what cemented Christopher Reeve's legacy as the Man of Steel. Now, whilst the movie is slow paced at times and the look of the film looks and feels horribly dated, it is a very well written story with decent action scenes and some excellent plot twists. Many would argue this was the last great Superman movie we've had, as parts 3 and 4 were very poorly executed and received. Superman Returns with Brandon Routh was not very well received as well, and The Man of Steel with Henry Cavill, well, it was conflicting because some people felt it was not quite in the spirit of what Superman represents. But on the whole, Superman 2 is an excellent movie with a story that holds up very well and is an all-time Superman film movie classic. Number 11, Wonder Woman. If Batman and Superman and Spiderman are considered the greatest male heroes of all time, then there can be no question that for the females, Wonder Woman is number 1. After Linda Carter's success on the small screen with the hit 70s TV show, it was the turn of Gal Gadot, but on the big screen, and she more than delivers in her big screen movie debut. The movie is set during 1918 in the midst of the First World War. Diana rescues a pilot named Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, who is an Allied spy assigned to infiltrate the German forces and has stolen a notebook with plans to generate a deadly gas which is designed to kill the Germans' enemies. Believing Ares, the god of war, is responsible, against the wishes of her queen mother Hippolyta, she takes the godkiller sword, the bracelets, the armor, and the lasso to try and find Ares and stop him. Gadot lights up the screen and embodies the spirit of the character as it was portrayed for years on TV and in the comic books. Having an actress that was not American, as was typically expected, given the character was created in the US, was a nice touch and a different direction. The movie itself told a very good story of a young princess who was destined to be man's savior, and showed a hero who was brave, fearless, compassionate, caring, and willing to put herself before others. Her romance with Steve showed her softer, more loving side to balance out the fierce warrior that she was. The movie was a nice fun ride, and a great solo introduction for one of the most popular superheroes of all time. Number 10, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Chris Evans' familiar as Cap was an odd choice as he had just come off a 2-movie stint as Johnny Storm from the very first Fantastic Four movies. and I wasn't the biggest Captain America fan growing up. Yes, I saw him in the comics, as well as his appearances in the X-Men and Spider-Man animated shows, but I just saw him as a character who was just there, and I didn't really have any real affinity to him. That perception, however, changed with Evans' portrayal of him in the MCU movies, and this film in particular. Set after the events of the first Avengers movie, Cap works for S.H.I.E.L.D., and early on he's on a mission to save captured hostages on board a S.H.I.E.L.D. vessel. As the movie unfolds, all is not as it seems, as there is intrigue and double-crossing at every turn. The film does well to combine elements of suspense, espionage, and action all within the confines of a superhero movie. The titular character, the Winter Soldier, who was Steve's friend Bucky Barnes during the First World War, was supposedly killed, but he was brought back to life, but as a brainwashed Hydra agent. And this really brings out the emotional side of Steve, as he is conflicted and forced to take on the man who was once his best friend. This was a very well written movie, directed by the acclaimed Russo brothers, with twists and turns at every angle. This is one of the more underappreciated entries in the MCU, and it helped solidify Cap as more than just a one-dimensional American hero, and added multiple layers to his character, making him much more interesting and intriguing to watch. Number 9. Black Panther. The cultural impact that this movie has had on not just comic fans, but fans the world over, especially for the continent of Africa, cannot be put into words. A character that had a rich history in the comics, but was really only known to hardcore comic fans. He went on to become a quality A-list superhero and was every bit as popular as Captain America or Iron Man. Black Panther made his debut in the highly acclaimed Captain America Civil War and played an important role which helped establish him in the MCU. His next outing would be this movie, his own solo adventure. It is the year 1992 and current Black Panther T'Chaka is in the US in Oakland, California, when he discovers that his brother N'Jobu is in cahoots with the arms dealer Ulysses Claw. In the ensuing scuffle, N'Jobu is killed, and this has future consequences for T'Chaka's son, T'Challa. T'Challa inherits the mantle of Black Panther after T'Chaka is killed during the events of Captain America's Civil War. He later comes face to face with Eric Killmonger, who is really N'Jaka, the son of N'Jobu, T'Chaka's brother. The two find themselves in a battle for the right to rule Wakanda, both in tribal combat and in the Black Panther suits. Black Panther was already well on his way to stardom following Civil War. His movie took him well up into the stratosphere and helped cement the late great Chadwick Boseman as an A-lister, with an all-star cast including Angela Bassett and Lupita Nyong'o. This is an interesting story with great visuals, awesome fight scenes, and great cultural appreciation. Black Panther is a certified classic superhero movie which grossed over $1.3 billion in the box office and was 2018's second highest grossing movie. Number 8. Spider-Man No Way Home. This was Tom Holland's third solo outing as everyone's favourite web-slinger, and arguably it was his best movie of the trilogy. The movie kicks off straight from where the previous movie Far From Home left off, with Peter Parker's secret revealed to the world and he is framed for murder by Mysterio. He is cleared of all charges, however he has to deal with the public outcry and the negative media coverage. Peter goes to Doctor Strange, who tries to forge a spell to make people forget about Peter as Spider-Man. However, the spell goes horribly wrong and ends up opening a door to Spider-Man villains from other universes. Now Peter must team up with Doctor Strange and his friends to find a way to undo this mishap. The two major talking points from this movie was the untimely death of Aunt May, which really brings out a dramatic performance from Tom Holland conveying this tragedy. And of course the other big talking point, with Spider-Man villains from other worlds in this movie. Do we see the big two of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire?
Hi! No, it's okay, I'm a nice guy. Hello?
I think that answers that question. It was speculation that went on for months and months and was finally revealed in this movie. The sight of all three Spider-Man was incredible to watch. Another great talking point was the redemption of Andrew Garfield's Peter, as he saves this world's MJ from death to somewhat atone for the death of Gwen Stacy from his world. Also to add in, William Dafoe's great performance as the Goblin, without the costume, which was very Joker-esque. The action, the drama, the great performances, the cameos, the surprise appearance of Garfield and Maguire, this was a fun movie to see, and this was reflected in its box office draw of over $1.9 billion, and subsequently making it the 7th highest grossing movie of all time. Number 7. The Dark Knight. Some have regarded this as the greatest comic book superhero movie ever made. Some have said it is more than just a comic book movie, but a great movie which just happens to be about comic book characters. The sheer scale of this movie cannot be overstated. From the dark and gritty tones, the impending sense of doom, the anarchy, the brilliant acting, and Heath Ledger's iconic performance as the Joker. This movie is the quintessential Batman. On top of the Joker, the movie also sees the introduction of Harvey Dent, who becomes Two-Face, and his presence, I feel, is every bit as sinister and somewhat frightening as the movie rolls on. The Joker's presence in this movie, however, I feel is the real highlight. The way he tortures people, the way he psychologically tries to tear down Batman, he makes the whole movie a must-watch. And with an amazing cast including Christian Bale's turn as the Dark Knight, and British legendary actor Sir Michael Caine, the legendary Morgan Freeman, Aaron Eckhart, and Maggie Gyllenhaal, all their performances in this movie really help cement it as an all-time superhero classic, and quite frankly, an all-time movie classic. Number 6. Batman 89. What is this? Batman 89 over the Dark Knight? Okay, man, you can't be serious, right? Right? Well, this is more for sentimental reasons, as it was the very first Batman movie I ever watched as a child. The movie with Adam West from the 70s that I did see, but much later on. Now, even though I had no business watching this movie, I did say 15 rated movie, or that's TV 14 for you guys in the US, and I watched it countless times over the years, and I never got tired of it. Now let me clarify, now whilst I prefer Batman 89 to the Dark Knight is definitely the better movie. It is, for me, just sentimental reasons that I've got it higher on the list. Batman is set in the city of Gotham, where reports of a masked vigilante going after Gotham criminals is gathering pace as it's been investigated by reporter Alexander Knox and photographer Vicky Vale. Vale, who becomes the apple of Bruce's eye and his love interest in this movie. A turning point in the movie is when gangster Jack Napier is set up by his boss Carl Grissom, whom he has sent to retrieve incriminating evidence from Axis Chemicals, when in reality, he's just setting up Napier as revenge for having an affair with his wife. During a scuffle with bats, Napier is dropped into a vat of chemicals. He later goes on to become the Joker, and after killing Grissom for his betrayal, he sets out on a killing spree of his own for Gotham, with freaky and disturbing results. It is also discovered that it was a young Jack Napier who actually murdered Bruce Wayne's parents as a child, which set him on the path to becoming Batman. So this rivalry just became personal. An eventual showdown between Batman and the Joker bookends the movie. The score by Danny Elfman really illuminates the dark and gritty tone of this movie. Michael Keaton's portrayal as Batman is superb and is personally my favourite on-screen portrayal of the Dark Knight. Jack Nicholson also lights up the screen as the Joker, and of all the on-screen interpretations of the Joker, he is my personal fave. Overall, Batman 89 is an excellent movie which helped establish the character in deep dark roots as opposed to the campiness which was brought on by the 60s Batman. This movie also indirectly helped set the tone for the animated series, which would appear over 3 years later after this movie's arrival. Tune in to the next video, where I count down my final 5 movies in my top comic book hero movies of all time. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and if you want to see more, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.